Hey, welcome or welcome back to Babe and Library. It's your girl Lisa, and I'm here to pretty much try to close out the year, covering my best books of 2022. Now, each one of these may not necessarily be new releases in 22. I do have some backlists that I'm just now getting to, which is probably going to be a running theme. I'm primarily a romance reader, but I am chaotic in all forms of reading. So I have read everything from fiction to fantasy, romance to historical fiction. You name it, I've read it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to start off with my best per month, and then I'm going to jump over into best per genre. They don't necessarily mean that they're synonymous because, again, while I read primarily romance, I think I'm at 76 romance categorized books. I have 126 books read so far. So some of that is outside of the romance genre, and so those will cover my genre related items. So don't want this to be too long because obviously I can talk and ramble for days. But we're going to start with January. So January's pick for the best book that I read was The Fastest Way to Fall. This is a romance. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to remember many characters' names, but this one is by Brit and West. It is a romance where they're kind of like pen pals. They don't know each other. Britta is actually going to try out for a workout competition because she is trying to write an article on Wes's company, and they fall in love. I absolutely adore this. As with almost every book in this series, in this video you'll see today, I rated it 5 stars. So, romance, amazing choice if you want to get started with Denise Williams. This is her second book, but one I really, really loved. Going into February, I've talked about this nonstop. February's best book was also a romance, and it is A Marriage of Convenience, and that is Zinni. So this follows Zinni and Mason. They meet because Zinni's aunt dies and leaves her her fortune, and her one dying request is for her to marry Mason. So amazing book. 5 out of 5 stars. Tab the hell out of it. Love it. My March book is going to be The Love Con. This is romance. This is Best Friends to Lovers, which I just recently found out that I loved. This has plus size main character representation. It has a competition element. If you are a fan of spoiler alert by Olivia Dade, I didn't really care for that, but that has like that cosplay. This is much better. This is my preference. This has a cosplay theme for it. She kind of ropes in her best friend, says that she's in a relationship, and her best friend goes along with it because he absolutely loves her and adores her. My April was Jade War. Jade War is the second in the Bone Saga series by Fonda Lee. This is where the reading got good. I wasn't necessarily a fan of Jade City. I thought it was very overhyped, but I decided, okay, you've intrigued me, you've whet my palate a little bit. Let me jump into Jade War, and baby, Fonda Lee wrote down. Like, she said, oh, you didn't like that? Let me show you. And she hit me with the 1-2 combo. Absolute stunner of a book. If I am going to have a long book and it's going to be family dynamics, I need drama, I need messiness, and I need like political intrigue. So Jade War for April. For my May pick, it is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemon. I've read 3 of Kimberly Lemon's book, all within this fantasy world. This is the epitome of me. It has humor, it has paranormal, so you can see that the main male character is a demon, a shapeshifter demon, and they call him a demon, but he's a dragon. So he is a shapeshifter dragon, and This is hilarious to boot. This is more of an adventure fantasy romance, and I could not eat this up fast enough. I think I may have read this in a few days, and since then I've been dying to jump back into her world every chance I get. So I'm going to actually get a chance, hopefully, to see Kimberly Lemon, and this is going to be one I hope to get signed by her. So for my June pick, I'm going to pop up an image on the screen. It is Finding Jupiter. I was blessed to be able to get an arc of this from NetGalley, and I was just like, okay, look, this cover is stunning. Let me see. I'm not really into young adult anymore, but baby, this book made me a liar. So I fell in love with the cinnamon roll male character, Orion. He is just so pure and so sweet. And he is absolutely smitten with Ray, who is our female main character. She is tall. She is a roller skater. Like, I saw myself in Ray. And it has, you know, in young adult fiction, you typically don't get to see parental representation, but this was all centered around their families and how they knew each other and some turmoil in between their fathers. So I absolutely loved that I got a chance to read this arc. 5 out of 5 stars. If there was nothing else for me to hold on to in the YA community, this book did it for me and just kept me going. So moving forward, the next book is also a young adult. So my July pick was Blood Scion. I mean, look at this cover. Get into it. Now, when I say that this is young adult, I mean to tell you, Deborah Falahy pushed the boundaries as far as it can go in terms of a young adult fantasy novel. I have never read so much gore, so much violence, so much affirmation in a character in terms of being strong, unapologetically black, and not on bullshit. Like, you read it, you're like, no, she a teenager, and this is giving real teen facts. But this is a story that centers the Orisha gods, which I'm so glad to see amazing representation from the African mythology. This centers a character who is out for revenge and retribution. Now, moving on to something that is as far from removed at a young adult as can possibly be, is going to be my August read, which I know you're probably tired of hearing about it, but praise makes an appearance again. Daddy Emerson literally came through in August and said, hey, sit down. And I did. This is an age gap romance, taboo friend's father romance, and it is filled with steam. I don't need to say anymore. Look at him. Pick it up. My September favorite read is When It's Only Us. This is the kickoff for the Bergman Brothers series, which I am ready for book 7. This is showing love without boundaries. This entire series talks about a lot of things that we don't really get in the romance community, which is the diverse representation of characters with disabilities. And it talks about, so in this story, you have the main male character who is deaf and or hard of hearing. And he is with this, it's a grump sunshine. And he is with this boss, soccer player named Willa. And it's them getting to know each other and find each other every step of the way, but loving their way through it. My October favorites. Now, this is a toss-up. I'm going to cheat because this is my video and I can do that. Ever After Always, which is the 3rd book in the Bergman Brothers series, is superior. It is the best book in it. Do not argue with me. I'm not wrong. It is a marriage in trouble romance, and it has a lot to do with body shaming and financial pressures. Again, I know that sounds depressing, but let me tell you, these two Freya and Aiden are made for each other, and they just needed to find their way back to each other. So that is one of my favorites in October. I read 15 books in October. I had a phenomenal reading month. So it was only fair that I got to choose two. And my second one is Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue. This is, again, kind of like the time I got drunk or saved a demon. It is literally me in a book. It has romance, it has paranormal activity, it has spice, it has there's a trip to hell, it's you're dating your ex's dad. Like, it's top tier. Like, those two, I could not pick one. We're in a polyamorous relationship. Me, Daxodon, Aiden, hey, I'm warm and cozy in there. My November best read is none other than A Worthy Love by A.E. Valdez. I want you to know now, A.E. Valdez is someone that you need to be reading her backlist starting today. I'm currently reading her Christmas or holiday romance or winter season romance, The Snow King Catches His Snowflake. I'm no good. I'm no good. I want you to know now. That and or Honey and Spice. Those two are probably, one of those are going to win my December's favorite of the month, but we're not there yet, so I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to rush to jump into that. One, I can't talk about Honey and Spice because HarperCollins. The strike's still going on, so I'm going to have to save my recap of that. But I'm not finished with Snow King Catches His Snowflake, so I'm going to hold off on that. Just know I'm loving it. But what I can say is A.E. Valdez's A Worthy Love, which is my November pick, is amazing. It is a story that it deals with, like being loved for who you are, the decisions you make, and knowing that person is your partner in every single sense of the word. Like, no matter what you're going through, he has your back. They have your back. She has your back. Whoever it may be, they are there for you and love you through thick and thin. And this book shows that. And it shows that you deserve and you are worthy of love. So, pick it up. Now that I've gone through my month recap, I'll jump right into the genres. So, the genre selections I have for fiction is going to be Night Crawling by Layla Motley. This wrecked me. This is an absolute stunner. First and foremost, I'm going to say this is a debut novel. This isn't my choice for my favorite debut novel because I felt like this was more apt for fiction. But this is a debut novel by someone incredibly talented and fairly young. I think Layla may be 20, if that old. But this is an amazing story about what it's like to grow up in America and not have the protection of your parents because of circumstances that may or may not be beyond your control. So whether or not it is the death of a parent being an addict and not available to care for you. It talks about what you have to do to survive in the world, especially being Black and being female. So this is hands down one of the best reads that I have, and it's so heart-wrenching. So I would say pick it up for that reason, but please make sure you take care of yourself because there are a lot of trigger warnings in this one. Mystery thriller category is going to go to S.A. Cosby yet again. S.A. Cosby, this is his the novel before, I would say, Razor Blade Tears. So this is Blacktop Wasteland. This is about Beauregard, who is a getaway driver and is pulling his last job because he wants to get out of the game. And it is a thrilling ride. I tell you, listen to it on audiobook. This is a movie that you can either read with your eyes or listen with your ears. So please pick Blacktop Wasteland up. For historical fiction, I'm going to go with Don't Cry for Me by Daniel Black. Don't Cry for Me is a love letter to his son from a dying man, and talking about why it was so hard to come to terms with his son being gay and what his childhood was like, kind of how he was raised and how he chose to raise his son. And apologizing and getting to the point where he, truly values and loves him before, he leaves this earth to make sure that his son knows. So, phenomenal read. It says Don't Cry for Me, but of course, I was sobbing like a baby. Fantasy, again, this is one of the ones that cross-pollinates, which was my April read, Jade War. Stunning book. Again, 5-star read. I've talked about that one already. For my romance selection, A Worthy Love, which I've already talked about for my November. For sci-fi, I'm not technically a sci-fi girly, but I am a fan of The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport. This book hits. It may look like a young adult because of the graphic portrayal on the cover, but let me tell you, it's adult. This talks about betrayal. It has intrigue and amazing plot. This centers around a main character who is, I wouldn't say infiltrating this society, but she is trying to figure out who killed her grandfather, who was the highest ranked black man in this particular society. And so she goes and follows and pursues his legacy. And from there, the game's afoot because it's chaos. You don't know who to trust. And the ones you want to trust, they probably shouldn't be trusted. So, amazing sci-fi romance. Definitely a stellar read. If you haven't heard of it, go check it out. I've got Goodreads recommendations or reviews on each one of these. I would highly encourage reading that because sometimes I'm not as coherent as I like to be. My pick for horror should come as no surprise because it's The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I have already said on this channel, I love Tiffany D. Jackson. I am a stan of Carrie. The Weight of Blood is Carrie, but in 2014 in black. So how could I lose? You can't. This is great. I don't have a humor pick, but I do have a nonfiction, and that is going to be Bad Fat Black Girl by Cecily Bowen. Notes from a Trapped Feminist. It talks about body shaming. It talks about friendships. It talks about sex work. So, stellar read. My memoir is going to be Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. This is marketed as a book about a memoir about Ashley from the point of view of her father being incarcerated, but I think it's less about her relationship or lack thereof with her father and more so about her relationship with her mother and her grandmother and how her experience shaped her, and who she becomes. So this 5-star read for sure. As far as history or biography, I only read one historical book, and that is Killing the Black Body. I can't say too much. It is a factual based book in terms of it talks about everything from abortions to contraceptive. It talks about medical procedures. It talks about everything, but from the standpoint of giving you that relation to Black women and how we are treated by medical professions in relation to our body, even going all the way back to slavery. And so it is a heavy read, but it was a very informative read. As far as graphic novels, Wash Day Diaries is amazing. It has beautiful imagery. It has hard-hitting topics. It talks about, and all woven through with the thread of friendship and familiar bonds. As far as poetry, my choice is going to be Homegirlhood. This has various different poetry items, ranging from relationships with your mother, relationships with your father, talking about ownership of your body. So, Homegirlhood is probably my poetic choice. My YA fiction is going to be Finding Jupiter. And lastly, my YA fantasy is going to be Bloodmark by Tracy Deonn. Bloodmark is the sequel to Legendborn. This is an Arthurian retelling centered around Bree Matthews, who is basically trying to find her way in this community. So she's balancing blood magic, she is balancing Arthurian magic, and she is balancing root magic. And if you don't know, those are three totally different, separate magic systems, which is not as complicated as you would think to keep track of. So this is my YA fantasy pick for the year. That being said, I am interested to know what you favorite this year. If you could do me a favor and leave me a shoe emoji for the fastest way to fall, or tell me your favorite of any of these reads that I've talked about today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.